Hey everyone, Jacob Slade from SteamFirst.com back again, and today I'm reviewing the indie game which I've greatly enjoyed over the past few weeks. I've been playing it, game Dev Tycoon. It's a very fun game, and there's a lot of reasons why. When I first started playing game Dev Tycoon, I actually was not in love with this game. It was a very slow start, and that was one of the biggest issues I found with the game. However, after that slow start, as the game continuously picked up speed and got a lot more exciting, I realized that Game Dev Tycoon is a great game. So don't let it offset you by the fact that the first hour or so is actually quite boring. And that is a major flaw with the game, don't get me wrong. But if you keep playing and you can brave through the first hour, then you're actually going to have a very good time playing Game Dev Tycoon. And there's several reasons why that is. The first reason that I really fell in love with this game is that it's one of those games that embraces your creativity. Other games that do this, an example would be Zoo Tycoon, pretty much every Tycoon game really that you can think of. A lot of these Tycoon games embrace your creativity and let you do things that just let you run wild with your imagination, essentially. And not a lot of games do that. Tycoon games seem to be really the only type of games that do allow you to do that, aside from the occasional strategy games such as Tropico or the Civilization series to an extent, but mainly Tycoon games allow you to really get creative and do what you want. And Game Dev does a spectacular job of that. It's very fun to name your games, to customize how good certain parts of your game will be and how much focus on certain areas of your game you will make. And you get to hire different people, you get to create marketing campaigns, you get to build your own console later in the game. It gives you a lot of freedom to do what you want and customize a lot, and it really lets you be creative. The game does not take control of you. You take control of the game, and that's what I really love. Now, it also has a very charming graphics and soundtrack. At first, I was not a huge fan of the graphics, but it was another thing about this game that grew on me over time. They are charming, they're very simple, but this game in general is very simple, but it's also a very relaxing game. And it's also a good thing that's very simple, because its simplicity makes it very approachable. There is the occasional Tycoon game where you're excited to play it, but unfortunately the game is a bit too complex. And that ruins the experience. We all have had that happen to us playing some kind of game that we are looking forward to, and it's just too complex. Game Dev Tycoon does not have that issue, not even close. In fact, at times it's a little too simple, but I'll get into that later. It is a very simple game, but there is a decent amount of depth to it, but everything is very easy to learn. It's a very easy pick up to play game. It's charming, it can be witty, it's fun, it allows you to really do what you want. Again, going back to that creativity aspect of the game. It also has a fantastic sense of progression. A lot of games get stale after 4 or 5 hours because you feel like you've done everything. Sure, there's levels left in the game, but you feel like you've done everything already. I've already done this, it's just slightly harder in this level. Game Dev Tycoon is not like that. You continuously keep unlocking these game-changing features, such as advertising campaigns, R&D department, then hardware development labs, MMOs, AAA games, etc. There's developing new game engines. There's constantly different things that the game is evolving and adding more and more things to do, until by the end of the game, once you're about 8 to 10 hours in, it actually is a bit complex. In fact, I'd say it's not simple, but again, it still is very easy to use. It's not simple though. It's not bare bones by any means by the end of the game. Again, the game has a very slow start. That's what I feel is really going to be the hump for a lot of people who want to play this game. Can you deal with the slow start of the game? Because the first hour, maybe even the first 2 hours for some of you, you'll find there's just not a lot of stuff to do. You're just making these crappy games that get like 4 out of 10s, slowly building up your soon-to-be game development empire, but it's not quite there yet. You start off in your garage as a one-man development team, and things are as slow as you'd expect it to be. In fact, the game's just flat out not fun at all for the first hour. But it does pick up, and eventually it gets to be fast-paced. It gets to be very entertaining. There's tons of different things you can do. There's tons of different ways you can develop your games. There's just so many things to do. It never gets old. In fact, it's also very addicting. It's so fun to just pump out game after game and make millions of dollars. It's what we've all dreamed of but can't actually do. So it is very, very fun. There are some things I did not like about the game, but they didn't detract greatly from the experience. Overall, I think Dev Tycoon is a very good game. However, it does have its flaws. First of all, it completely neglects the perks of mobile game development. Now, you can develop games for the iPhone and the iPad in the game, or as they call it, the GR phone and the GR pad. I don't know where they got those names, but you know, they didn't want to pay for licensing from Apple because I'm sure that costs billions of dollars, so they came up with their own name. The problem is, while you can develop for them, there's not much of a reason why. They don't have a massive market share, which doesn't make sense because they have the largest market share in the world. There's no option to have things like in-app purchases. There's no option really for anything. You're really just making a game. A restrictive game, too, because the game restricts you to making a small or medium-sized game. You can't make large or AAA-sized games for the mobile devices in the game. So, mobile game development has become an increasingly important part of the gaming industry. Yet, this game seems to completely neglect that. And that's what probably that and the fact that the beginning of the game is very slow. Definitely the biggest issues. Now, there is another tiny little issue that I had, which was there are very, very little ways to advertise your game. It's not that big of a deal, especially considering how many things there are to do in this game. It just would have been nice to have a few more advertising features, like promotional products, pre-order bonuses, stuff like that. But no, all you can do is advertise. That's it. Just like you just click a button, basically, and it's like, boom, it's advertised. So, I don't really like it in that sense. Another thing that could be a slight issue is there's no sense of social media, or there's not really a good sense of the internet in this game at all. And there is a counter for how many fans you have, but it doesn't really seem to have an effect on anything. So some features of the game are kind of minimal and not really fully fleshed out, and I feel like they could have done a lot more. But at the same time, I still had a great time playing Dev Tycoon, and despite the fact that some things aren't fully fleshed out, overall I'd say the game is very well made and has tons of different things to do, so you shouldn't be disappointed in that aspect. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you next time.